G'day, Rachel here from Pin Up and Nostalgia Image Creations. Welcome to this episode of Quick Tricks, where I'm going to show you how I do my big bold victory rolls on my short fine hair. Let's get stuck in. The tools and products I'll be using include bobby pins. I have longer ones and shorter ones, some sectioning duckbill clips, a regular paddle hairbrush, a teasing brush, some dry shampoo for volume, stronghold hairspray, and hair pomade. As usual, I'm working with clean dry hair, washed last night and air dried. Today I'm going for asymmetrical rolls, which means one will be larger than the other, and that calls for a side part. So I'm going for a relatively deep part, of course starting behind my fringe. And what I'm going to do is, instead of parting straight back, I'm going to go ahead and part on a diagonal. So it's a bit of a flashback to the 90s with a zigzag part there. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I have enough volume on both sides. So typically you would have one side much bigger than the other, and that's fine. But because I don't have the volume and length of my hair to create a big enough roll on the smaller side, I'm going to just allow that sneaky extra bit from the other side. Alrighty, and let's finish off our sectioning. So we're going to go from behind the ear right up to where that part meets at the top there, and section that off with a duckbill clip. Same on the other side. So I'm just going to pull back the rest of my hair. That'll keep that out the way. So I'm going to start by working on the larger side. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a curl at the end of the hair. Now you don't have to do this, but I find, especially with short hair, if you do add a curl, it really helps encourage the ends into the roll because you don't have that much to work with. So it does make it a little bit easier. So just starting with my regular curling iron here. And I'm going to curl upwards and towards the center because that's the way I'm going to have my roll go. It doesn't really matter too much with this, just as long as there is a curl in the end. Okay, so let's give us a nice little ringlet. Now the next step is to add some volume. So those of us with fine hair, and particularly short fine hair, do need a little bit more help when it comes to volume and making those big rolls. So I'm going to start at the center and work my way out. So I'm just taking the first section of hair, and I'm going to use my dry shampoo just at the base and probably about this far up the shaft of hair. And don't spray too closely to the hair. Okay, and go ahead and use your teasing brush to tease that. So what I'm doing are fine C motions, so just over and over C motions. Don't be too harsh on your hair. You can get volume without destroying or breaking your hair, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to do both sides just with those short, sharp C motions. And as you can see, it is starting to look like a bit of a bird's nest, and that's exactly what we want. Okay, now it's standing up on its own, which tells me that we have plenty of volume in that section. So just flipping that off to the side, and go ahead and start with your next section of hair. And with the last section of hair, because this is the hair that's going to be going on top of my roll, I'm just going to do the inside, or what will be the inside of that section of hair. I'm just holding it into an upwards position. Okay, so now that we are looking crazy, let's go ahead and mold these together. Just gently going over the very edge layer, the outer layer. making sure I'm not undoing any of the teasing that was done inside. And as you can see, I went a little bit crazy with the dry shampoo there, so that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and rub it in. And if you have very dark hair and you're worried about the white transfer of that shampoo, there are darker colours that you can buy as well. Alright, so give them a good smooth. And at this stage I'm going to give a very light spray of hairspray, and I'm going to comb that into the style. And we'll just continue smoothing now that we have our hairspray in. Okay, so comparatively you can see where the side of my head sort of ends here, and you can see where the hair is coming out to here. So what I'm going to do is just continue smoothing and refining while I start my roll. So I'm going to start with 2 fingers from the opposite hand. Go ahead and wrap the hair around them. Pinch the end. Go ahead and pull your fingers out, and that is the beginning of our roll. Okay, so from here I'm going to just do a mixture of smoothing, pulling out this roll and rolling it inwards down towards the scalp. And just tucking in any ends as they come along. And just a reminder that we're aiming for caves, not tunnels, so we don't want to see directly through our rolls. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's begin to pin, starting with one of the longer pins. And of course pinning from behind as well, and crossing over in amongst the hair with that first pin. Try your best to hide your pins, but if you can see them poking through here or there, it's not the end of the world. Just one last little pin to make sure I've got extra security. Give her a good spray. I'm just going to use my teasing comb to go ahead and smooth that spray while it's still wet. Make sure we're catching any bubbles. And on to the next one. So we're just going to do pretty much exactly the same thing, starting with a little curl at the end. And as you can see, I've got a couple of layers in my hair, and that's fine. We'll just either wrap it around or do a second go. And just making sure that when you do start teasing, you begin at the base and build upwards. Okay, so you've got to have a solid foundation to tease on top of. Once again looking crazy, so we'll bring that all together. And of course just using the teasing brush to smooth the outer layers. A light spray and smoothing it through. Alright, and let's begin our roll now. Oh, get some of that dry shampoo. That's alright, that's going to be covered anyway. And these naughty baby hairs aren't doing what they're told, so we'll just give them a little bit of extra help with the spray. And wrapping that hair around. This time, same hand as the side because I'm awkward. Rolling, tucking and smoothing into place. Oh, and sometimes you have a bit of a bloop, but you can just start again. Once you've got a solid enough base, the next thing I'm going to aim for is the rolls to be touching in the center. So now I just adjust, pin, spray and smooth. And here's how the rolls turned out. I'm just going to give it a quick curl set at the back to add a little bit more volume. And that's all for my big, bold victory rolls on short, fine hair. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.